Midnight. The room was illuminated by the flickering flicker of the TV. Outside, snow fell in a soft, slow drift. The cold fire crackled and spat, its embers all aglow. On the screen, an old black and white creepy, the beautiful pale girl recoiling in horror as the elegant vampire moved in for the seductive kill. Daniel saw it too, and this kicked off a conversation about all the old Dracula movies that he had loved since our youth. Daniel's strict mother had banned him from seeing them, which naturally led an added illicit thrill to his sneak viewings. We talked about all the vampires, the suave Christopher Lee, the hideous Max Schreck as the original terrifying Nosferatu, the effective latter-day portrayal by Klaus Kinski in Herzog's atmospheric version of Return, Carl Theodor Dreyer's early silent masterpiece, Vampire, and then there was Bela Lugosi. At the time, I had an excruciatingly boring job in a warehouse, packing up wholesale goods for delivery. I always had pockets full of address labels, and they came in handy on this occasion when I was suddenly seized by inspiration on the bicycle ride home. White on white, translucent, black coats, back on the rack. Bela Lugosi's dead. By the time I got home, I had the whole thing scrawled out on the backs of those yellow labels. I couldn't wait to take it to band practice that night. We just acquired the use of a room at the corner of Gold Street in Northampton. We decked out this dingy space with black plastic bin liners and low lighting, including a UV strip and strobe, and consequently felt at home, like bats in a cave. I handed the lyric sheet to Peter and strapped on the bass. Daniel said that he'd come up with an idea, a chord progression that utilised the device of playing semi-bar chords but leaving the two top strings open. One for the musos there. And this chord progression was actually stolen from Gary Glitter's Rock and Roll Parts 1 and 2. Kevin started to play a bossa nova rhythm. He'd been taking lessons from an old jazz guy, and this was one of 2 beats that he knew. And I underpinned the whole thing with a simple descending bass line. Peter started to sing. It was a kind of miracle, as we all just fell in with each other. It was as if we had been playing this strange song for years. All the parts fitted perfectly into place, and all of a sudden we had a fully formed 9-minute epic on our hands. Magic out of the blue. After that first run-through, we all looked at each other excitedly and started to laugh. "Let's do it again," Daniel said, and so we did. We debuted the song, our first 4-way collaboration, at our next gig on January the 3rd at the Romney Pub in Kingsthorpe, much to the bemusement of the middle-aged golfers who strayed in from the links across the road. A couple of weeks later, we entered Beck Studios in Wellingborough to record the track along with 4 other originals. This, our first recording session, was presided over and engineered by the studio's owner, Derek Tompkins, who appeared through a thick fog of cigarette smoke at the rear of the narrow control room. He was carrying a can of air freshener, which he proceeded to spray with liberal abandon. He then swallowed several aspirin, which he washed down with coffee from the flask. A tall, slender man in his mid-50s, with lank silver-grey hair, carpet slippers, and a pronounced stutter, Tompkins had built the 8-track studio himself, and as acquainted as he was with its homemade idiosyncrasies, he would occasionally disappear under the mixing console, pliers and screwdriver in hand, to fix some snag or other. At one point during the session, he came into the control room to discover him laid flat out on his back, with his legs sticking out from under the desk. It's all been too much for Derek, Daniel laughed. Derek's background in recording consisted mostly of working with Irish show bands, folk duos, comedy acts like the Barron Knights and the crooner Frank Ifield. He did have very good ears though, and he was certainly open-minded. Plus the fact that he was not some young hipster, but someone from outside of our own scene held great appeal. The studio itself had a very homely feel to it, with its warm, funky red and brown carpet, comfy old couch, a coffee table which was dominated by Derek's huge exploding ashtray, and a little kitchen brewing up tea. It's a great place. When it came to the recording of Bella, Derek quickly mic'd up the drum kit and amps, and then simply robbed tape as we played the track through. One live tape, vocals and all, and that tape was the one. It was the first time that Peter had ever sung into a studio mic. Derek then showed Daniel how to use his marvellous analog delay unit, which was operated by a slider that increased or decreased the effect. Derek had recorded several reggae artists, and he was correct in recognising that there was a dub aspect to Bella. By the end of the 3-hour session, we had 5 tracks recorded and mixed. Before wrapping up, Derek wanted to do one edit on Bella in order to lose a bum note played by yours truly, which induced a now laughable state of panic in me as he wielded a razor blade and spliced the tape. "Hey!" I blurted out. "What the hell are you doing?" What am I doing?" he replied. "I'm making you sound like you can play that bloody thing." Derek smiled and made the necessary cut.